Did I ever send you guys the video of the if Uno was an anime?
That sounds familiar. Someone has sent me that.
It's literally like a minute long. We need to get started with the episode, but I'll send you.
I mean, everyone has a favorite character, even if it's not a main. I guess I could say for a while I mained Kirby on Smash just because I really like playing Kirby.
I probably played as Link more than anyone else. It's true. But I don't know that
competitive
I would necessarily say.
Competitive anything players look at things differently than non-competitive. Like, look at the way we look at Magic and the way that the pros look at Magic.
Yeah.
And like a pro player looking at Magic sees like percentages, and a pro poker player especially sees percentages with everything. Whereas we see, man, I hope I get a whatever card.
We see Mike decks full of Brian cards.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And competitive Smash, like, I made a Smash channel on the Discord server, and immediately people were talking about things, and I'm like, I don't even know what those letters mean, and then they explain it, and I read it, and I'm like, I still don't know what that means. But these are people who are way more into Smash than like, I'm playing Smash because it's fun. The idea of playing against people online does not interest me at all. I'm like, unless it's friends, which I did on Monday. I jumped into Cap's Smash Brothers Fight Club and played for like 3 hours. But
cool.
It's the same as everything else. You know, competitive Tetris players look at Tetris way differently than my old man did back in the day. Yeah. But anyway, I think that's a good place to start. Start the show. Ow, jam! Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mana Pool. This is episode 540 of the Mana Pool, and I know that because last week on the way to the pre-release, I guessed right that it was 539.
Oh, cool!
Nice.
And then I had to put that episode together twice because I screwed up. So I remember that last week's was 539, and therefore logic says that this one is 540. That's logic. Thanks, Tweedledum. Did Robot Dirk just say a full word, or did he just have an error message?
Did what?
Sound like you went ill, and that's all I heard.
Oh, yeah, illogical.
Oh, okay. That was weird. Anyway, so yes, I am Chewy, the lead dork, and with me, as always, are all these other dorks. Hi, dorks have missed you.
Hey, dorks. I missed you too, although I actually saw 2 of you in person 4 days ago. So yeah. So I'm Brian. I'm the lead Rambler Tangent Master of the group, and to get things started, although it has nothing to do with Magic, but since we've been talking about Smash Brothers, and someone in Derp Attack Go asked in the chat, my favorite Smash Brothers item is the Pokeball, which shouldn't surprise anybody because you literally don't know what you're getting until you throw it down. It's amazing. Unless you get Goldeen.
Then it's amazing in a whole other way.
Yes.
I'm Mike. I'm the rules guy and the game lore guy. And when I think about a favorite Smash item, it's kind of hard to pick between Pokeball and the Proximity Mine. I really like the Proximity Mine.
You're one of those. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I just felt like saying that.
I also love the Proximity Mine in GoldenEye. That was one of my favorite weapons.
Yeah.
There were sessions where my brother and I would be playing against each other, and we would literally set aside like 15 minutes to both of us just throw as many proximity mines in a room as possible, and then someone would volunteer to go in because it was amazing.
And then the whole console lags when the explosions happen.
Yeah, it was great.
That was great.
The physics in that game were really nice. You get explosions that, really interesting.
So, since everyone else said that, Dirk, what's your favorite Smash item?
Well, who are you?
Well, I'm Dirk, the self-proclaimed greenest man alive and moral compass of the group.
Oh,
and from my recollection, and again, my recollection goes back to way, way, way long ago. Was it the hammer?
The
I think
the
the hammer.
Yeah, the Smash Hammer.
the mega hammer that when you pick it
Yeah.
up, you're invincible.
Yeah, I think the mega hammer was one of my favorite ones. I'm pretty sure I clubbed somebody to death on that one.
And that
With
sounds
that.
like Dirk.
It does.
Dirk does say Dirk would be a hammer guy.
So,
And sometimes you get the fake hammer and you run for your life.
Or
the squeaky hammer.
or you pick up the hammer and like the top falls off.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking. Yeah, that's what I just called that the fake hammer.
Well, there was that one, and then there was the one that
Yeah, there was the golden
uh,
hammer that
Huh?
instead of being a hammer would be a squeaky hammer.
yeah.
Which game was that?
That was in Brawl.
Huh.
So yeah, by the way, real quick, what's the last Smash game each of you guys played?
Probably
Brawl.
the one with you. Probably Brawl. No. What am I even saying? I got the one for the 3DS. I just haven't picked it up in a while. So
I guess. Let's see. The last one I owned was Melee on the GameCube. I think I played the next one at some people's houses a few times, but not a whole lot.
Okay.
And I think that's why I didn't even think about the one for the 3DS, even though I own it, is because I could never get my internet connection to work terribly well with it. So I was pretty much just doing solo, or Harry was never a big fan of Smash Brothers, so pretty much solo. And that's why I didn't think about it, because for me, a big part of the fun is, the multiplayer. Don't think that's a very revolutionary concept.
Not really, no.
Nope.
All right then. So that is it for the Smash Brothers podcast. Let's start the mana pool.
What's your favorite item?
Here lately, it's been in Smash Ultimate. It's the boomerang. I really enjoy starting fights against lots of little characters in the single player mode, World of Light, with the boomerang equipped. Because you just throw the boomerang and it hits them all, and then when it comes back, it hits them all again. And then you throw it again, and it does it again. And usually by then, one will jump out of the way, but you've gotten so much damage on all of the little dudes in the way. It's brilliant.
Cool.
But anyway.
Yep.
So I haven't missed any subs, Pinball Witch. We haven't had a pause to talk about it. But yes, thank you for your 17 month in a row resub. And she said, subscribe to the Mana Pool over here on Twitch. Hey, that's a good idea. You should totally do that.
Woo woo.
Yours is the only one I see, though.
Yeah, that was the only one.
Okay, that's what I thought. So let's get to it. Yeah, by the way, for those that aren't aware, I've been streaming Smash Brothers Ultimate here lately, so it's on the forefront of my brain. Because it's brilliant.
I'm glad that it is everything that you hoped it would be.
It really is. It's like a dream come true. I discovered this a while ago. Playing Smash Brothers while pooping is a dream I've had for almost 20 years.
And you didn't even know it? Or
oh,
did
no,
you know
I
it?
did. Playing freshman year, playing original Smash 64 on in the dorm room freshman year, and having to like hand off the controller because you have to go to the bathroom is the actual worst. But anyway, so let's talk about
Moving on.
moving on. Brian has a Mad Lib.
I do have a Mad Lib, and I've created this Mad Lib for last week in the thought that we might continue to go over previews, and then we decided to use the pre-release recording, which works. So I'm going to let you know that my original intent was to kind of tie this into previews and have you guys work off of the visual spoiler for Ravnica Allegiance, but I don't know that's really necessary. However, there are going to be a couple times where I'm going to ask specifically for cards. I'm going to open it up a little bit to cards basically from a Ravnica set, but because it ties into the Mad Lib itself. But otherwise, we're just going to make it completely open, and we will look for contributions from the co-hosts. And occasionally, if someone in chat wants to pop along, we may say, all right, we'll let chat answer this, in which case it's first come, first serve. So let's go ahead and get started. And because I'm going to have to be, the way I'm doing this time, this is a little different. I'm going to have to be switching between screens a little bit. So if somebody wants to keep an eye on the chat, I may not be able to do that as much this time. So let me know if I miss something in chat. All right. So I need a step or phase of the turn other than Mike's face.
Chewies.
Other than Mike's face. Is Mike's face part of my turn?
Chewie's turns do take longer than everyone else's. Mike might actually have a part of Chewie's turn. Or his face.
While we're goofing around, Rakdos said declare blockers.
That's a step, right?
Yes.
I need an aura.
Pacifism.
Yeah.
I need a creature.
Avon Brigadier. Is that what he's called?
Ooh. Yeah. I love that guy. He's so
Avon.
brigadierish. You'll like this, Avon. It's brigadier.
Give me an instant.
I can't.
Blunt the assault.
Wow. There's random carding again.
No, actually, I'm digging through my decks.
Give me an artifact.
Pyrite Spellbomb.
Oh, God. Odds and ends reference. Stark said, just because they're in your decks doesn't mean they're not random cards.
Give me a legendary creature.
Experiment Kraj.
Huh.
I need an enchantment.
Hey, chat, give us an enchantment. As someone's already typing by the time I say this. 5 alarm fire. Wow, Rakdos. That's brilliant.
Is that similar to Kitchen Fire?
Woo!
It's a lot less exciting than Kitchen Fire in practice.
Is it anything like a baby whale?
Oh, baby whale.
Now that takes me back right there. I need a step or phase of the turn.
Clean up.
Clean up.
Damn.
That's what I tell Penny to do all the time.
Yeah, well.
Does she actually?
I was going to say, except in Magic, you listen.
I need a legendary creature from Ravnica. Any Ravnica set.
Experiment, wait.
Teysa, Ghost Envoy.
Yeah, there we go.
Spell her name.
Teysa.
Not the envy of ghosts or whatever. However, they messed it up when it was unofficially spoiled and people were like, "What?" I need a sorcery.
What?
Sorry, once we get a sorcery, I'll... Yeah.
Search for Tomorrow.
Oh, that's a good one. Was Envoy of Ghosts Countess Boobula?
Yes.
Of course, that's the one you mentioned.
But she's Tessa Ghost Envoy, correct?
Yeah, Ghost Envoy.
All right.
I
All
thought
right,
it was Ghost Envoy. Is it Ghost Envoy or Envoy of Ghosts?
I'll
It's
look.
Somebody look it up.
It is Envoy of Ghosts,
Okay.
Envoy of Ghosts.
not Envy of Ghosts. Ghosts are like, I
Envoy.
wish I had a boob window. We're like, whoa! So fashionable. Is it though? It
I
was
need
when
an
I was alive.
artifact or enchantment. Anybody from chat?
Yeah, hey chat. Thassa's Bident. Sure. That's
So
both.
Thassa's Bident or Bident of Thassa?
God damn it. Gatherer. I
These
just
things
closed
matter.
it. It is. Hang on. It is Bident of Thassa. Yeah.
Bident. We here at the Maniples strive for something.
Close
All right.
enoughness.
Close enough. All right, I need an instant. And Dirk, give me an instant.
Yeah, Dirk.
Like, Chandra's Outrage.
I need an aura.
Laquatus's Desire.
I hate
Where the hell did that come from?
Now you got to spell Aquatus.
Laquatus. Is
There
that
you
right?
go.
TUS.
No, that's not even a freaking card. Wait a minute.
Aquatus' champion. Wait,
No,
that's
Laquatus's
isn't that
Desire. I was thinking Abishan's Desire, but I named it wrong.
okay. All
Underwater
right,
person.
Abishan's Desire. Aboshan.
Yeah, Laquatus had disdain.
That's right.
Way to go, Mike.
Abishan's Desire. Sorry.
All right, I need a legendary creature from Ravnica. That's not Tessa or Experiment Crush.
What about more different Tessa?
I see Pinball Witch answering with Sisters of Stone of Tone Death. Is that someone that can't sing very well? I think. It's,
When I was.
all right, I need an artifact or enchantment.
Awful open with those.
It's like it's giving me choice paralysis. I don't know what to blurt out.
Yeah, there's too many options. How about Words of War?
Words
go.
of War. All right. I need a keyword or ability word.
Sweep. There's no way that'll end up stupid.
All right. This is interesting so far. So, all right, and finally, I'm going to need one more. This will be the last one. I'm pretty sure. Legendary creature from Ravnica.
Let's
It's a
see,
fairy.
so-
Oh,
Fairy
not
is
from-
not from
Okay,
Ravnica.
wait a minute. So Dirk gave
Oh.
Kraj, Mike gave Tesa. So I'll give, and Chat gave Sisters of Stone Death. So I'll give. Hang on. Oh wait, earlier Stark said that Boros guy. So Agris Kos.
And an artifact or enchantment. Maybe something from the chat. Stark says, that is not who I meant.
Yeah, well, no one cares what you meant, Stark. You inspired me to say Agris Coast because I like it when people think it's Argus and I smack them.
Godsend.
Yeah, we got Godsend.
That's an artifact and enchantment.
Uh-huh.
All right, give me an instant.
I have none of those.
Terror.
Ooh.
That's interesting. Give me a creature.
We Dragonauts.
Whee!
I need... All right. Sorry, I had to type a lot for some of these. We should be able to move a little faster. Now, I need a creature type.
Zoblin.
Rakdos said goblin first.
But I like Zoblin.
I like Zoblin first. I like Zoblin better, but it's not actually a creature type. Give me a land.
What's the rainbow thing?
Rainbow Veil?
Like
That's
which
the
one? Okay.
What, there's another one?
I thought there was.
Well, I'm writing down Rainbow Veil. You can go to Gatherer.
Yeah, go to Gatherer.
I need a creature.
Okay, never mind.
There's also... I'm not going to say it now because it's a creature and he'll think I want to say it, but let's not.
Oh, I was going to say it. Rainbow Ifrit.
Oh. I was going to say Rainbow Crow, but okay.
Okay. I thought there was another land with rainbow in the name. Oh,
Maybe
well.
in the name, but it doesn't start with it.
I need an enchantment.
Apparently there are no more cards with rainbow in the name.
That's sad.
An enchantment?
Yes.
What even is that?
How is there not an enchantment with rainbow in the name? That's what I want to know.
Right?
Citadel Siege. Thank you, random cards.
There's Cloak of Mists, Stark. Is that what you meant?
I need a common card. Any card of the common rarity that's not been reprinted as a uncommon or higher.
How about Cloak of Mists?
I thought there was some kind of mirror cloak. I can't even see the art in my head. What am I thinking of? Robe of Mirrors. Okay.
I need an aura.
Need a what?
I need an aura.
Okay, Robe
Robe
of Mirrors is
of
totally
Mirrors.
an aura.
So Robe of Mirrors.
Mirrors,
Yeah.
yes.
That was from Exodus. Wow.
I need an instant. Is Garbage Fire an instant?
I mean, she keeps saying it in chat.
Garbage Fire is an instant, yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
It was from Conspiracy 2.
Okay.
I need a common card.
Forced.
That is... I don't think that's ever been printed in common, so, alright. Give me a sorcery.
Fireball.
Didn't we already use that?
Not today.
I was going to
Okay.
say, what?
I need a keyword, please.
No.
First strike.
Boo. I don't know why I'm booing.
I need an uncommon card. Card printed uncommon, never another rarity. And if you make me research it...
Nago bound by honor.
NAG.
Ayo.
AO.
Where the hell did that come from?
I don't know.
Oh,
Zone.
okay.
A zone.
Graveyard?
Yeah.
A creature.
White Knight.
He said a creature, not an internet construct.
A sorcery, please.
What's that sorcery that makes squires? That's an instant. Never mind.
Waka Waka is not a sorcery.
There's another thing that keeps coming up in chat. Indestructible Aura.
Okay, and that's a sorcery.
That is a sorcery. It is not an aura. It does not grant indestructible.
I thought it was an instant.
No, I'm pretty sure it's a sorcery. No, I'm thinking of something else. Never mind. Wait a minute. What the heck?
Yeah, Indestructible Aura is an instant because it's got the most metal art ever.
So Enter
Sorry,
the Infinite
I'm
is a
thinking of something
sorcery,
else.
though, right?
Yeah.
Enter the Infinite.
I don't even know what that is.
It's like do everything.
Is that the draw your deck spell?
Pretty sure.
Yes.
And it combos with Omniscience, right?
Well, everything combos with Omniscience, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, a land, please.
Sorrow's Path.
It was inevitable.
I mean, the way this Mad Lib is going, that's where we are, I think.
An enchantment. I did not realize this was so long, but there's a reason that this one is. We're not even halfway there, but there is a reason.
Are you
that this one is so
serious?
long. Yes, but there's a reason.
Oh
let's
my
let.
God.
I just let's keep it moving.
Propaganda.
Part of it is that I'm typing it instead of writing it, but there's a reason for that too. Give me a land.
Shimmering
Land
Grotto.
cap.
I heard shimmering what?
Grotto.
Grotto.
Okay. It sounded almost like shimmering land cap, and I was like, what?
That's a kind of mushroom.
Give me an artifact.
Fountain of Youth.
Yeah, when I mentioned this is the last one a while ago, I meant of those legendary creatures. So.
Brian being unclear about something? No.
All right, creature type.
Oh, what was in the chat earlier? Aurochs.
I was thinking Aurochs at one point.
Give me a
I almost said forest.
step or phase of the turn.
Untap.
Mike, I hate you.
Give me an aura.
Chat? Animate dead. Oh, God.
Wow, we're going to hell for this one. All right,
Good.
I need a keyword or ability word.
Affinity.
We're definitely well done. All right. Step or phase of the turn.
I don't know what's left. Main.
Upkeep.
Main phase. All right, give me a guild of rev.
Teamer.
Nice
Okay, he picked up on that immediately. I was wondering if he'd be like teamer.
The Is It Guild.
Rakdos
League.
answered Rakdos a while ago, so that would be
Okay,
the,
yeah. that's
Did
fine.
he now? Really?
creature.
Goblin. Oh God, what the one with the sharpshooter? I could see the art, but I couldn't remember his name.
Let's get a sorcery. Hey, chat, you want to give us a sorcery?
Yeah, chat. My God. What's wrong with you?
Channel.
Wow. I say again, Pinball Witch, what's wrong with you? Channel. Huh.
Enchantment. Please.
It's like Sleeper's Cloak.
We haven't used sleep. So many cloaks.
It's kind of like how a creature can be equipped with like 3 hats at the same time.
All right. An instant, please. Hey, Dart, give me an instant.
Indestructible Aura. Just so she
That
stops typing it.
Okay. Indestructible Aura.
Yeah. Hey, Dirt, give him the next thing.
All right, Dart, give me a creature type.
Clerics.
All right. Mike, give me a sorcery.
Oh man, what's that one? Read the bones.
Nice.
Read them bones.
All right. An aura.
What's the one from Ravnica where you draw a card and it gives flying?
You draw 2 cards. Flight of Fancy.
Flight of Fancy. Okay, that's what I thought, but I wasn't sure.
Give me a creature.
Chat.
Chad is not a creature. Mogus, God of Slaughter. How long has she been answering that?
She's been answering that for enchantment for like the last hour. So use it for a creature so it makes more sense.
Okay. All right, give me an instant.
Jump.
Ooh.
All right, a step or phase of the turn.
God, what's still left?
You and Mike both talked over each other last time, and you said main. Mike said something else.
I don't know what I said.
Upkeep, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe, probably.
I think that's what he
Upkeep.
said. What you guys don't know, and we didn't either, is that he's actually made a Mad Lib out of the first chapter of A Tale of Two Cities.
Yeah.
Give me a creature type. You weren't supposed to figure that out. Give me a creature type.
Weird.
Yeah, but
I
give me
agree,
creature
but what's
type.
a good creature type?
Is weird actually a creature type? I know
Yeah,
they
yeah,
did.
it is.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It was when you guys asked me the first one. I was like, oh, I should have said weird. That would have been great.
Give me a zone. You've already said
Auto.
graveyard. What now?
Auto.
Why was that funny?
Command.
Is anti a zone?
It is.
All right. Anti-zone. Is it
Uh,
called the anti-zone?
It is.
Okay, give me an enchantment. It's not Mogus, God of Slaughter.
Lure.
ooh, lure. Nice. I think it's because Dirk said it, and I don't expect smartass coming from Dirk most of the time. So it caught me right off guard.
All right, give me a creature type.
Advisor.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
All right, give me. We are actually getting close to the end. I know it's been a long one. Give me a keyword.
I'm sorry, as a death touch is what Chat said.
Oh, good lord. Oh, man. Oh, good. I'm sorry, I can't get over that one. All right. Aura.
Mammoth Umbra.
Ooh.
Mm.
Which one's Mammoth?
It's the white one. 3/3 and Vigilance.
Ah, okay. Like the white. Shut up, Dirk.
That's racist. I need a token. Anything that shows up on a token.
A bird.
Treasure.
I heard bird first.
Damn.
I need a black instant.
That's racist.
Yep.
Oh no, that's a white instant. Dark Ritual?
I saw
That's fine,
Vampiric
right?
Tutor in the chat first. So
Fair enough.
Vampiric. I need a blue sorcery.
Blue doesn't have sorceries. Divination. That one is a sorcery.
All right. A keyword or ability word.
Imprint.
And finally, I need a creature.
I'm sorry, the way you phrased that, it didn't sound like you were done.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to drop something else on us.
I need a creature. And
Germ?
then germ. That's a creature type.
Oh man, I've seen humongulous in the chat several times.
Yeah.
Yeah, do that. That's a great word.
Humongulous.
Yeah.
And I need an instant. And this is the last. I started to say all right, and finally, and then I realized there was one after creature. So that's why I was like, I need an instant, and this is it.
Pinball Witch
Chat.
said Quicken,
Quicken.
and so did Rectos.
All right. So
It was the best of times.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as a PDF. I'm going to send this to the dorks.
Ooh, do we have parts to read?
You have parts to read.
Oh
Ooh.
gosh.
So Chewy, is there a way to not have this up? Like you can look at this without showing it off, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, I've saved it as a PDF. Now I am going to go to the email because the email is actually working, right? So I'm going to go to the email.
You know, if it's a
and-
PDF, you can just drag it into.
Yeah, you can drag it into the Discord chat.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. No, I did not know that. Technology.
Yeah, like
Too
all those
bad I-
pictures that I've just been dropping in there. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So now I have to open the PDF versions. I closed that.
Why do you have to open them?
What?
Why do
Or
you
can
have
I
to
just-
open them? You just
can I
drag
just
the
drop
file
it?
and drop it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just need to find the file, which means I need to open the documents. Here we go. And
We're all still old fashioned where it's save,
No,
upload,
not
do
all
all
of them.
this.
all right.
Drag and drop is a little new for us.
All right. Did it work?
No.
I don't want to add a comment. I want to upload.
Yeah. Just
There.
There we go.
There we
Is
go.
that it?
Yeah.
Looks like it.
All right.
Save to desktop. All right.
So the name of this is Game Theory. So now there's not really a way. I would love to do it where nobody knew what anybody else was saying, but then nobody else would know when it was their turn to go. So we've just got a script here.
Okay.
So, Chewy, when you want to start us.
Okay. Hang on. Let me be sure I can see chat. All right. Here we go. Good declare blocker step to all of our pacifism Daven Brigadiers, and welcome back to this episode of Blunt the Assaulting for Pyrite Spell Bombs. What?
Woo!
I'm your host, Experiment Kraj. We've had a 5-alarm fire game so far, but now we enter the final cleanup. As a brief recap, here's our 3 contestants and their standing. In the lead is Tesa, Envoy of Ghosts, Countess Bubula, who has managed to search for tomorrow 15 Bidents of Thassa.
It's Chandra's outrage to be here, and I'm very Abashan's desired to be doing so well.
All right, that was creepy. In second place, we've got the Sisters of Stone Death with 10 words of wars. Words of war.
Golgari forever. We will always sweep the competition.
Oh my god.
That was my Sisters of Stone Death voice.
Thank you, sisters. Bringing up the rear, it's Agreskos with 2 godsends.
Just want to give a big terror to all my wee Dragonauts back home at Sunhome.
Of course you do. All right, here's our next question. What is the minimum number of goblins in an approved, note that's an approved, Rainbow Veil?
Well, of course, the number is 7. Any rainbow Efrit should know that.
Correct. And might I say, very Citadel Siegely done. You are awarded 1 Cloak of Mists.
Boo! No Robe of Mirrorsing the other players unfairly, Experiment Kraj.
Well, hey, hold on. I'm just garbage firing my job here. If you
Yeah,
want
you
more
are.
forests, then fireball the questions correctly.
Yeah.
Hey, let's keep the game first striking, please.
Indeed. Now, the next question is worth up to 3... What? It's worth up to 3 Nagao bound by honors, depending on your answer. Are you ready? In what grave... Oh, God. In what graveyard are white knights allowed by the Azorius to enter the infinite? That works. That sounds like a question that has a real answer.
Is it the Sorrow's Path?
I'm very propaganda to say that that answer is incorrect.
Ah, darn it.
Of course it is. The real answer is any shimmering grotto with a working fountain of youth.
That also sounds like it could be the real answer.
It does, doesn't it?
Ah, yes. The Sisters of Stone Death is B right once again. With the full... with the full 3 Nagaos awarded. We're close to being tied up. Let me tell you, Aurochs, this is one exciting untap.
Indeed, I'm personally all animated deathed up.
Ew. I mean, I'm glad to hear it. All right, everyone, affinity or responses, please. Next question. How many times in the last main phase have the Cult of Rakdos used a Goblin Sharpshooter to channel?
That's a tricky one. But the answer should be 9.
Well, Sleeper's Cloak, is that a card we said?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I'm Sleeper's Cloaked, but that's not right.
What? Indestructible Aura, it's not!
Hey, please, watch your language. The show has always been appropriate for all clerics. Any other answers?
Well, when in doubt, I always try to read the bones. Is it 5?
Why do you have bones? But no, that's not right either.
I'll be a flight of fancied Mogus Goddess Slaughter.
Yeah, you will. Well, seeing as how we don't have any right answers,
Is it 37?
I'm sorry, but that's not.
Now, 37, if we include the times they jumped.
The times they jumped. Okay, just an upkeep. We're checking with our Judge Weirds over in the anti-zone. And yes, that appears to actually be a lurely correct answer. Wow.
Hey, every advisor has his day.
That, all right, if you say so. All right, well, it's now anyone's game. The contestant that answers the last question correctly wins. So, contestants. Oh my god. Contestants, death touch yourselves. Oh god. All right. Are you done death touching yourselves? Right. Thank goodness the camera's on me. Final question. What
There's a
duties?
long pause in a minute.
What duties has the Living Guild Pact performed since he was Mammoth Umbred?
I have no bird.
No idea. I must vampire.
You must what? You blinked out.
Vampiric tutor.
Oh, someone check the sister's mic, please.
The living what now? I don't divination the question.
Well, that's all the time we have for this episode. Thanks for imprinting us. Be sure to sorcery our next episode. Until then, to all of our loyal humonguluses, quicken. Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
I stop mentioning myself now.
All right. So Brian gave us the last round of a game show.
I did. Did that work or not? It felt it took us a long time to get it going, but I wanted to make sure that we had enough.
Yeah.
Because it's more people speaking. There were too many that worked, and I don't know how I feel about the question about in what graveyard are white knights allowed by the Azorius to enter the infinite. That sounds very like a Kool-Aid kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, and then is it the Sar's Path? Actually, I mean, it could be.
But the death touch has got to be the wow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, contestants,
I also
death touch yourself.
Although I also like it when Dirk said that he's personally all animated deathed up. I don't know that this show is really appropriate for all clerics.
I don't know if it's appropriate for any clerics. All right then. Well, that was a thing.
The people in the chat like it. Is this something that you'd like for us to do again? Although not every time because it's too much work on my part.
It's also really long.
Yeah, it's very long.
We also do. We also feel dirty.
All right. Let's do what we were originally gonna do this episode.
Yep, sounds good.
I'm gonna BRB real quick while you get into it.
Okay.
See, when he says that, it almost sounds to me like Airbnb, and I'm like...
Yeah, he's gonna Airbnb. Yeah. I don't know what that means.
An Airbnb is something, I think it's an app or something. Think of, it's like Uber, but for your house. Like if you need to rent a space. If you were going to a GP and you couldn't afford a hotel.
Oh. All right.
If you're, yeah.
So you order a hotel to come get you from the airport, like Uber.
No.
Got it.
No, like if
No,
you...
no, it's too late. You already said it. All right, so what we were originally... I hope we have time to do 2 of these. If not, we'll do 1 and then stop.
Yeah.
So I forgot to look up when we started this. Damn it. So on an episode last year... Wait, I say last year, but it was late last year. Here we go. Episode 532 from November 11th. There we go. We did an episode that I titled, Where Would You Live? Because we couldn't come up with a name, and I think we kicked around a few, most of which weren't good. You know, the ones I came up with.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I think one that we came up with, or that was come up with, was actually by chat in the Mana Pool channel. You know what? Let me go look this up. It was from My Name is 14, and I think this is the best name. So we're gonna name this segment "There's No Plane Like Home."
Yep.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So thank you. My Name is 14 for coming up with that. No, it wasn't a year ago. It happened last year.
Yeah, we're in January, so saying something happened last year is not super descriptive.
Yeah, kind of cheating.
So, hey, look, Mike's back. Hey, Mike, what do you think of There's No Plane Like Home?
I think it sounds pretty good.
Yeah, there we go. So, what we did on that episode was we looked at what it would be like to be a normal non-planeswalker person, you know, not a big mover and shaker, just a normal person living on Ravnica and then living on Innistrad. Just what day-to-day life, things you had to look out for, stuff like that. And you guys enjoyed it, so we decided to do it again and make it a recurring segment for a while until we, you know, run out of planes. So,
Which, if we do 2 at a time, it'll still take us a while. There's a lot of planes.
true.
But last time, Dark had suggested
Theros.
Theros. So we're going to
And-
start with Theros.
Yeah, we didn't have time to do more than 2 last time, so we might not have time to do more than 1 this time. We'll see. So,
'Cause my Mad Lib took mad time,
yeah,
so,
like this episode has been going for 52 minutes as of right now.
whew, that's a long Mad Lib. I'll keep that in mind for if I ever do anything like that ever again.
Yeah, when you said it's not even halfway done, I almost crapped. So,
Like I said, I had to do enough that there was enough for people to say, but unintended consequences. Anyway.
Anyway. So, Theros, which is the plane where Theros takes place.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We have not been back, so we only have the one block to.
There was Theros, Journey into Nyx. Was that the same? I forget. No, Journey
Born
into
of
Nyx
the
was the third one.
Gods.
Born of the Gods.
Born of the Gods, and then Journey into Nyx. There we go.
It was weird because the first book was Theros, and the second book was Journey into Nyx, and it covered the story for the second 2 sets. So it wasn't a bad story, but it felt a little crammed. So
Well,
this
the sets felt a little stretched, so it evens out in the end.
That is true.
so yes, go ahead.
Theros is essentially the magic take on like ancient Hellenic Greece.
Yeah.
So
You see that with a lot of the architecture, but more than anything else, through the way the world revolves around their gods with, you know, a capital G, although not the god, but these are gods patterned a little bit after the ancient Greek gods, but obviously while there's some parallels there, they're also, you know, given their own identities in the world. So, and we can't really talk about the day-to-day lives of Theros citizens without talking about the gods, because even though not everyone worships the gods, like the Nakatals certainly do not worship the gods. They impact the day-to-day life of pretty much everyone. This isn't a world. Every plane we talk about probably has some sort of creation myth or theory, or the people there may worship some deity seen or unseen. This is a different kind of place because the gods literally make their presence known all the time. It's not an abstract theory. I wonder if there's a god for the sun, because Heliod is like, yo, it's me, the god of the sun. And if you look up at nighttime, you can see where you would normally see, you know, stars. There are stars, but it's an interesting take on constellations. You actually see the gods in this part of the world called Nyx, and you can see them moving around and interacting with each other. So it's always in motion, and I would think that would be really trippy. And I don't think sleeping under the stars in Theros would be very restful. That's probably the closest thing they have to television. So I think I'd rather be inside.
I was just about to say it's like going to sleep watching TV.
Right, which some people can do and other people can't. So,
Except if you go to sleep watching TV, there's very little chance that, you know, the characters on the TV will accidentally set you on fire.
that's true. I mean, with some exceptions, most of the gods in Theros show, if not little regard for the mortals, they see themselves as incredibly superior to the point that mortals are almost not even worth their consideration. So, and they are, there's always some sort of conflict amongst themselves. So, if, yes, Pinball Witch, if your TV has an electrical problem, it may set you on fire. That's true.
True, but that's not the characters setting you on fire.
That's true. That's true. If you're watching Golden Girls, then they are not gonna like come out of the screen and like beat you to death.
Yeah, Blanche isn't gonna pull out a steak knife and stab you. The equivalent of that would be if you're watching Laying Under the Stars, looking up at Nyx under an archway, and the archway falls on you. Well, that's the same thing.
So,
and what's interesting with the way the gods see themselves is so far above all the mortals, and it wasn't completely clear to me from the story whether only Crufix knew this fact or if only Crufix was willing to admit this fact. But the gods of Theros spring up from the collective thoughts and dreams and desires of the people on Theros.
right. I actually reread both Theros books not too long ago, not exactly in anticipation of this, but within the last month I reread both. And there's a character that, and I wish I could say who it was. It might have been Ajani, because Ajani, being a planeswalker, has more of a world's plural eye view of the world than the citizens. But someone I really believe was him said the people believed, and thus the gods were created.
Mm-hmm.
The problem, he says, is when the gods started believing in each other. Basically, that they start to see themselves as not just fulfilling the role that the believers had assigned them to, but I'm not just anybody, I'm a god, you know, and I have a place in the pantheon. And Crufix was the first, it's implied, if not outright stated, that he's older than the other gods. So it's interesting that he doesn't take the central place in the pantheon. Heliod's pretty much like, that's mine, that's my seat, it's mine, nobody touch it.
Yeah.
When the red god, the Vulcan, but not Vulcan, Perforos challenges him for that. It's pretty clear that Heliod sees himself as the center of it. Crufix was there before everybody, but he doesn't really see it as his role to rule, even though when he feels like the gods are acting out of line, he has the power to actually stop them and confine them to Nyx and limit their influence on the world. So
yeah, and I guess Crufix's role is also partly defined by the dreams and thoughts and desires that gave rise to him, because, you know, that's more of a vague concept, you know, time and space and wonder about the unknown, as opposed to, you know, the sun.
He's constantly referred to by the other gods as the horizon. So, like, they'll actually say that in reference to him. Like, I might, you know, talk about Dirk, and like, he's the green guy, the green man. But this is how's the horizon doing today? Oh, you mean Crufix? Yeah, the horizon. So you're right. His role is much more mercurial, but because it's not as high down, as well defined, its amorphous nature allows him to have influence like that. it's also spoiler here for when did this book come out? Like 5-6 years ago, something like that. When Ajani and Elspeth are trying to enter Nyx, they actually leap off the edge of the world into Crufix, and Crufix himself is actually the gateway to Nyx. So you could say that it's actually inside of him. So very amorphous ideas here. Whereas a lot of the other gods are, oh, we know what the ocean is, that's Thassa.
Yeah. Mhm.
Is that sort of like occasionally we refer to Mike as the beard?
Not in front of him. Which I find funny because all three of you have facial hair. I don't. But Mike's beard is, in fact, the godliest of the beards.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we're focusing a little bit on the gods first instead of the mortals, but the principal reason for that is, again, these gods interact with mortals on a fairly regular basis. You know, when you pray to a god in Theros, if they decide to answer, which isn't automatic, but they, you know, it's going to have an impact on your life. It's not going to be some sort of, well, maybe your life will get better or worse. You know, if you pray to Keranos for a storm and he feels like doing it, you're going to get some lightning right then and there. So, because of that, a lot of the citizens' lives are dictated by the gods. And a lot of their lives are, by being broken down that way, they're, I'm not saying this correctly. Where you live matters, right, Mike? Where you live matters on Theros is what I'm trying to get to. Like
Yeah.
in certain polises, certain cities, some gods will have more sway than others because it's their city.
Right. Yeah. Melitus and Akros and let's see here, Satessa are the main human cities.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the details about the non-human cities, but like I said, there's a large cat people population in Theros. There's lots of minotaurs. Melitus is basically Athens.
Mm-hmm.
Akros is basically Sparta.
Yeah.
And in Satessa, you get it's like based on the semi-mythical. I don't know if it's completely mythical or just semi-mythical earth culture of the Amazonians.
I'm not sure if there was any historical basis to that or not. Any comment I made on that would be entirely ignorant. So let's just say based on the Amazonians and leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, then if you lived in Akros, you were probably if not attached to, a lot of your daily life was probably centered around either the red white god, the god of war.
Arios.
Hmm?
It's Iroas. Arios.
Eros, yeah.
Iros, and then or Iroas.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but you also had shrines to Mogus, the god of slaughter, as seen, you know, on
In
the
our
Mad
Mad
Lib.
Lib.
And it's implied that it's kind of a little more it's not as politically correct to worship Mogus because the Minotaurs worship him, and they are they're seen as savages. They're always trying to break down the city, and you know he's more of the, you know, dirty, nasty, like raw, you know, whereas Iroas is the valiant battle, the god of war and valor. It also says though that after a war, many people will go and pray to Mogus because he's also the god of revenge. So when you've lost a loved
Mm-hmm.
one and you want to see your loved one avenged, you know, you'll go right up there and say, Mogus, please kill this guy, you know. So being in one of these societies, the gods and what the gods would require of you for your life is going to have a major impact on your daily life. For another example of that, look at in Melitus. I believe they primarily worship the blue-white god. I should have a list of the gods up in front of me.
Yeah,
right now,
Ifara is very important.
because she's the god of culture and civilization.
Hmm.
But that's also where Heliod's main temple was. So it's kind of set aside there, so you can worship both. But when you're in the temple of Heliod, he's the man, and he demands your utmost respect. And he has priests there. He has uh, oracles, and he has other non-oracle humans that still live out his will and do as he instructs them to do. So they're gonna be held to certain standards about what they can do, what they can't do. You're not gonna do anything that's gonna be out of line for a priest of Heliod, or you're gonna get struck down and banished if you're lucky.
Mm.
So
Struck down is a more likely event.
right.
And it's interesting that each one of the gods sort of has their priorities that they're obviously focused on what they do, but what is it? Erebus is, he has his own group of individuals, since he's the god of the dead, where he can make zombies and people who come back.
The return.
That has its own little twist on it, because they come back and they wear gold masks, right?
Correct.
Yes.
The underworld is filled with gold. There's mounds of it, heaps of it, and when you die, your spirit is taken across the river to the underworld by the white black god Phalix.
Athreos.
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 Thank you. And then while there, you lose yourself. Your consciousness appears to fade away. I'm not sure how quickly it happens, but there are individuals that are able to escape from the underworld. It's kind of interesting. It's implied that it's not easy to do, and yet there's enough returned lying around that it's not like one person in every generation either. Apparently, somebody turns their back every now and then, and a whole bunch of people just run out.
Someone used their spoon and made a hole, and as long as you know somebody who knows somebody, they can show you where that spoon hole is.
But here's the downside for the return, is that their soul isn't there. Their soul remains in the underworld or is gone. It's never expressly stated what happens to the soul, but your body's back and it's still animated. So it's said that they go to places that they knew in life, or that they look for things that were important for them in life, either possessions or individuals. But even upon reaching those places, they don't experience any kind of joy.
Yeah, and they only really sort of remember what their old life was like anyway.
Yeah.
I remember one example of this I remember is that a returned blacksmith might go back to the shop and start banging away on things, but all they turn out is just a bunch of weird banged up hunks of dented metal.
Right. They don't have any imagination. They don't have any creative spark anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really sad, pitiful existence. And to think that some of those people may have been trying their darndest to get out of the underworld and to make it out, only to lose yourself. And as Dirk mentioned, that they're covered, they're very distinctly identified by, they wear gold masks that are formed while they're in the underworld. So they are a distinct class all amongst themselves, and they have a day-to-day life, so to speak. But
hey, at least they're not eating people's brains, right?
They are not eating anybody's brains. Although if one was trying to eat brains while they were alive, so then they come back to life, quote unquote, and try to eat people's brains, that would be very, I guess if Hannibal Lecter, came back as a returned. And I just want you to think about that as you're trying to get some sleep tonight.
One thing that I don't know if it was ever really discussed is that the returned are all humans, correct?
There were
There was
some
a-
returned minotaurs and centaurs that appeared on some cards, but
In the story, Elspeth and Daxos are heading toward the Despair Lands, and they see a returned centaur. So
Okay.
they do
Because I didn't
seem
remember if there were like merfolk, which here would be the Tritons,
yep.
or centaurs or anything like that were returned.
I think any humanoid could be a returned, but
Now, when you say humanoid, you mean sentient being?
sentient being thing.
Mhm.
Yeah,
but it does seem
Racist.
like human return are much more common.
yeah. What are the races of Theros? Other than God, we've got human, naturally occurring, not Nyxborn. Let's clarify, because the gods make creatures. Especially Perforos is big on making creatures. So
Okay, so humans, Leonin, centaurs, minotaurs,
Satyrs.
satyrs. Dirk
Yeah.
mentioned tritons.
And I think the only nymphs are actually Nyxborn. So
Mm.
Yeah, it's the only ones I see. They're listed.
Yeah, that sounds
As a-
right.
as
Oh,
Harpies.
there's
Harpy.
Cyclopses. Yeah, harpies,
Hmm.
cyclopes.
Gorgons.
Hydras.
Hydras.
Which that was one of the themes of this set was wasn't that monstrous?
Yes,
yeah,
the monsters played a big
Monstrosity.
part. The big monsters,
yeah, because it took on some of the themes of
krakens.
heroes versus monsters.
Mm-hmm.
I've always heard it pronounced Kraken. Sorry.
It's
Hear
krakens
the
if you
sky
have a crick in your
krakens.
neck.
Ah.
Because my neck be kraken.
Wow.
So all obviously, some of these are just monsters and beasts, but the sentient beings, I don't know that there could be, for example, a returned Hydra. Although
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
How many masks do you give it?
And if someone chops off a head, does it grow a new head with a mask on it?
Yeah. Is there a main head that gets the mask? These are the questions that need answered, damn it.
See, I imagine that the monsters are ones that they occasionally make returns and things of that sort. So it's not that they die. They essentially just. I feel like that they sort of follow the Percy Jackson sort of way things work in terms of they die, but then they're probably brought back in order to or they're having something to do with the gods saying, oh well, that was a lot of fun. Who was the Uno Momento? Who's the hunter one?
oh
Nylia.
Yeah, there you
Right.
That Nylia would be like, those humans are coming into my forest. I'm gonna make some Hydras.
Yeah, I'm
But
sure
they're
they
more.
do.
That's more of what they do. Is that the monsters are there
Mhm.
just to challenge people, or to the gods' way of saying, "Don't touch my stuff."
Yeah, that makes sense.
go. So, getting back to the original point,
Yeah.
what's it like to live here?
Okay. So classical Hellenic Greece. So it's Iron Age tech.
mhm,
So you're living that a little more simple way of life.
right.
Um,
You don't really have much in the way of. They haven't gotten to the Industrial Revolution, among other things.
mhm.
So
Whoa.
it's
If they
obviously
did, would there be like a god of combustion who appeared?
that would probably
Yes.
as long as the citizens believed that it was attributable to a deity. Yes. If they felt like they were able to achieve it on their own, perhaps not.
See, this is why I'm afraid of planeswalkers. I'm worried that planeswalkers don't have like a prime directive, because
Oh yeah,
like a group of planeswalkers could totally hit up Theros and start a whispering campaign about a god of something or other. And as long as that whispering campaign picked up enough strength,
there would be a god.
there would be a god of something or other who would just appear
Yeah,
and start doing
That was-
whatever he does. Or
Yeah,
she.
that was one of and that happened. Like that was one of Ashiok's little experiments. He was able to get the people thinking about it enough to basically create a god of the hustle and bustle and paranoia of the city.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
And then that's part of how Xenagos was able to achieve apotheosis.
Yeah.
You know, to play himself up so much and get people really hyped and achieve godhood.
Yeah, he became essentially a god in the minds of the satyrs, and he used the power of the revels and certain, I guess, rituals to strengthen his own power.
Mm-hmm.
It was stated throughout the books that he's actually, before he ever became a god, he was an incredibly powerful mage, incredibly powerful, and he was partially informed by the fact that he was a planeswalker, so he'd been to several places and his power was greater. But just he throws these revels, but he says it's almost boring to him at this point because he could literally reach out and control the mind of anyone there and make them do whatever they wanted, and he found it more satisfying to just use his wits to make people do what they wanted to do. But so he was already incredibly powerful, and then he got his own followers to start calling him King Stranger and to start worshiping him and immolating themselves. They to allow themselves to be burned up.
Mm-hmm.
Ritual
like you do.
self-sacrifice. So yeah, that the part of that is a big part of how he ascended. Although his ascension, despite what he may have wanted, was not complete because he retained enough of his mortal self that it was a little easier for Elspeth to kill him. He still was composed somewhat of flesh and not entirely of Nyx. So that's part of how she was able to use the godsend to kill him. But yeah, so in theory, Chew is exactly right. If you went to Theros and started an ad campaign for Bob, the god of toilets, and it came in a fraction. I mean, really, we joke about it, but yeah, after a while, Bob would probably show up.
Actually, the god of toilets is John.
Well,
And
so
we've been talking about, like, with regards to the humans, there's these three policies that they essentially live in. So your life would be different based on which polis you live at.
correct.
So like Melitus, your life would probably be a bit more carefree. You would be a city of thinkers, a city of being able to conjure and experiment. Whereas if you were at Akros, your life would be very much, train. You're training and fighting. You're training and fighting. You're not doing anything else. There's no inspiration. You're making war, and you're constantly training for war.
And you're probably training to a certain extent in is it how do you pronounce that? Setessa, thank you. You're probably training there to a certain extent as well, but it's not the military might, it's more of the individual, like being able to provide for your family and that sort of thing. They have different approaches to class systems to a certain extent, while they share some similarities. But for example, one of the characters will remark that there's a queen in Akros, and she had to when she married the king, she had to work on him for a while to earn his respect, because she said that he was like his father was, and he saw women as beneath him and lesser being. And she was able to convince him over a long period of time, not right away, that she could be his equal. don't know that he would appreciate thinking in such black and white terms. It's more nuanced than that. Whereas in that other place that for some reason I can't pronounce.
What, Satessa?
Satessa. Bleh. Satessa. Every time I look at it, I don't know, I'm getting dyslexic. Satessa. Females have, women have a much more expanded role. And two of the characters meet, and one of them is from Satessa. Another is the daughter of a nobleman from Akros. And the daughter says, "I wish that you could go talk to my dad. He feels like I'm not high value." And the woman from Satessa says, "He should know better. You know, over here he would know that if he lived with us, he would respect women." Essentially, I'm horribly butchering the quote, but so you have these these places, even though they are in the same plane, they have very different attitudes toward roles, toward class roles, things like that.
Mhm.
And that's going to shape your daily lives. Also, remember, not even in Akros, not everyone can be a warrior. You still need merchants. You still need farmers. You still need people to work the day-to-day jobs. And so you're going to have some diversity there, but how those people are viewed is due in part to their god's attitude toward them. Even though you're still going to have priests in Akros, just like you would in Meletis, they're going to have a very different opinion of themselves. They're going to have different functions. Mike, did you want to add something?
Not specifically, no.
Why not, Mike?
I don't know. It's like I'm not sure why he asked me.
Some reason, I don't know. I thought you were going to say something.
Okay.
So, I mean,
But yeah, and I guess now I have something to say.
okay. I knew it.
So, like Brian was saying, how your life depends a lot on your place in societal structure and your relationship with the gods that you worship mainly. And like ancient Greece and Rome, you know, you're not. Let's see. It's kind of a different relationship between gods and people than you might think of when you think of modern day religions. In ancient Greece and Rome, when you went to a temple and you prayed and you left an offering, you're basically making a deal. It's like, okay, I need your help. I'm going to say some prayers. I'm going to give you this stuff. Hopefully we can make a deal and you'll help me out. You know, one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between classical Greece and Rome and Theros is that in Theros, it's an absolute fact that someone's listening. And there's a high probability that, you know, if they appreciate your prayer and offering, that they will intervene directly. It won't just be, you know, random based on winds and weather and chance and other people. You might actually get divine intervention for real. That makes me think of a little comic that I read where, let's see. Basically, Superman was trying to explain Easter to Wonder Woman. You know, and Wonder Woman is like, wait, so when does Jesus come around and give everyone candy? And Superman is like, no, this is just stuff people believe in. You know, it's not real. And Wonder Woman is like, I believe in Zeus. I spoke to him yesterday. He owes me $10. That's the difference.
Yeah. So that's a big part of why, even though we're technically talking about the daily lives of mortals, they are so informed by the gods that they're inseparable to a certain extent. At the end of the first Theros novel, Crufix decides that the gods have grown callous toward the needs of mortals and write their name on the tree of something and it sends the gods back to Nyx, and it starts what we call the silence of the gods, where they are largely unable to interact with the mortal world.
Mhm.
And some of the mortals are like, holy crap, we can't do anything. Although nature still works, nothing is like turned off. It's just it's not being influenced by the gods. There's still the sun, there's still the water. You just don't have some deity, making all this crazy stuff happen. And you're
Sort
kind
of
of
like
divided.
in a oh god, I've heard or read or watched something like this recently where there's like a dictatorship of sorts. I can't remember where I'm getting this from, but there were always the announcements every day. And then suddenly they stopped. Nothing else changed, but the announcements every day stopped.
Mhm.
And the normal people sort of started to lose their mind because no one was telling them what to do. They still had to do all the stuff. Nothing had changed. It's just there was nobody telling them what to do.
Right. And
And
you had
so they started to like unravel.
Yeah. And society itself, there's no sign that it necessarily it didn't unravel to the point that you had complete chaos because there were governments in place. Because we're talking about there were still humans and other sentient creatures in place in these governments. It's not like the authority figures completely vanished,
Mhm.
but there was a general sense of hopelessness for a while because we don't have, what do the gods want us to do? And it's interesting that Daxos, who's a very, very, very powerful oracle and chosen by Heliod toward the beginning of the book, he could have gone to any of them, but he went with Heliod, is like, because he has the gods and their interactions crowd out his other senses. He can't. He. It's like someone always going, "Hey, hey," like shoving you in the back and pull. Like, look at this. Let me talk to you about this. Like all the time. That during the silence, everybody else is like, "What do we do?" And he's like, "Finally, finally." And he gets very frustrated with Elspeth, who has come to this world. Remember, she can go wherever she wants. She's come here because she had come here as a kid accidentally on her first planeswalk, and she remembers Heliod, and she thinks to herself, she's looking for somewhere that's safe. She's had a lot of trauma, and she thinks maybe this is a place where there are gods, where I can be safe. And she's asking all these questions of Daxos about destiny and what do the gods do and isn't life better with them around? And he's like, you don't get it. They, the gods, the gods do what they do, and she's trying to put them on a pedestal. But he's listened to them his entire life, and he knows they're not perfect.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that is definitely something worth pointing out. These are not all benevolent deities. Some of them are not necessarily out and out bastards. But can I say that word? Do we have to beep that word? It's in the Bible.
It's a medical term.
But some have incredibly low to no regard for the lives of mortals, and they're petty. They are always fighting over something. Toward the beginning of the first book, Heliod tries to have a conversation with Thassa, and she's poking at him a little bit because she knows it frustrates him, and he gets more and more irritated till they start to have like a pseudo fight. And I'm reading this book, and I know that these are the way the characters are supposed to ask, but even as a reader, I'm like, can everybody just sit down and shut up for a second? Because they're always like this, and it's like watching children, but they're immortal and incredibly powerful children, so they have a very inflated view of them.
Yeah.
So if you haven't figured it out, the gods have a very big role in terms of if you were to live on Theros, You better believe in one of these guys, because if
Yeah.
not, your life would not end well.
Well, it's interesting. I'm glad you point that out because just like when we talked about Rakdos, when we talked about Ravnica, people's lives are incredibly informed by the guilds. You can't get away from it. However, there are still the guildlets. There are still the citizens that don't belong to any particular faction. And while you might argue that the gods on Theros are more powerful than the guilds to a certain extent, that they can literally control various effects of weather, all that good stuff. You still have some factions, notably the Leonin, that don't. I mean, they believe in the gods because they know the gods. That's to not believe in the gods on Theros would be to basically like close your eyes and plug your ears. But they don't worship. They don't show them really any respect or any more respect than what it takes to not get blown up all the time. Theoretically, and it's steeped way back in their history, but before there were the gods, there were the archons. And supposedly the Leonin kind of backed the archons, and when the gods overthrew the archons, the Nakatl were basically cast out. But it's also implied during the book that they may be a little more bit of a free-thinking society, and they see the gods for what they are, which are, these pompous assholes who happen to be divine, but that doesn't mean that they necessarily need to dictate our lives when we are perfectly capable of dictating our own. They probably were one of the more well-adjusted societies during the Silence until Xenagos ascended, and then the whole world became crazy chaos. The gods, rather than going, well, how could this happen, basically all blamed the mortals, including the ones that worshipped them, and started like tearing the world apart and sending the Nyxborn into the world to like just smash stuff up. So again, petty. And the Nakatl were one of the only groups that was like, hey, we need to organize and fight the Nyxborn so we don't all die. So, right. So the Nakatl are perfectly capable of living their lives without giving respect to any of the gods. But as a result, they're not really welcome in the policies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually just about to point that out, Pinball Wedge. The Nakatl are from Alara. These are just Leonin.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well,
I along the line, I was like, I don't feel that's right, but nobody stopped.
I mean, all these cat people look the same, right?
I mean, I know what you meant. I just figured you were misspeaking and whatever.
Okay.
Well, so people don't call us on it later. We have to go ahead and say it now.
Mm-hmm.
And look, she already did. Just as I was trying to find a place to break in, it was pointed out in chat. So, yeah.
But yeah, that is a good point, Brian. The Leonin can get by just fine without paying fealty to any of the gods, but that means they aren't favored by the gods, so their lives are that much tougher.
Yeah, and it's more of a societal thing, right? Sort of like like back in like the 50s, how atheists were seen.
Yes, like godless
States.
communists.
Yes,
yeah.
godless communists. They're shun them.
Yeah. At one point, I think Elspeth told somebody that she had lived among the Leonin for a while because, how do you answer? I'm from another world. And one of the people were like, oh, that's fascinating. Is it true they eat their babies? and Elspeth is like, not while I was there, but she she didn't really live with them, so she didn't have a good answer. She's like, I hope not. But that's just an example of other people being told that they're these godless freaks, and certainly, they must do all sorts of terrible things. So, yeah.
They're godless heathens. I mean,
for anybody that used to, or I guess still does because it still exists, play EverQuest, one of the things was if you killed certain people or certain races, your ranking with that society would go down. And if it went down to a certain extent, or if you were just a member of a certain race to begin with, it had a natural disaffinity with something, you wouldn't be allowed to enter a particular area or a particular city. Or if you were, I think you'd be hunted on the spot. I don't know if it was quite that bad, but so something like that. I haven't played that.
Anyway.
So, to summarize, I think you've still got people, you've got societies like you have on any other plane, but the influence of the gods is so profound here that it's inextricably linked. Whether you believe and worship a particular god, or in the case of the Cuddle, you don't, they are remarkable more or less because of their dissimilarity with the rest of the inhabitants of the. So.
Yeah, and let's point out, on this plane, there is no, I don't believe in the gods, because they're there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They're just there. So it's more the worship, actively worship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, after Heliod up and stabs Elspeth, spoiler alert, Ajani takes her cloak and has started a personal mission of vendetta to go around the plane and basically debunk the god as a way to try and weaken them in revenge for what happened to Elspeth, and because he doesn't believe that the gods deserve worship. So it may be that he gets enough followers and spreads enough word, kind of like our Bob the Plumber god, but in reverse, to try and weaken the gods.
Oh my god, it works both ways.
Well, the less people believe in a god, in theory. Now, we haven't seen an example of a god falling from Nyx, but they have situated themselves in these people's lives so permanently, it would take a massive movement to try and remove that belief from enough people, but it's possible. It's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what he's going for. So.
Wow. I wonder how you would do that. Just like someone says something Heliod, and you're like, actually, oh my god, he could just actually people when they talk about Heliod. Like, actually, you think it's Heliod, but it's really, I don't know, John God of Toilets or something.
Well, and Ajani isn't denying that they exist, but he's trying to say, like, they're not worth your worship. And I think he may be delving into the, they're here because you believe them kind of. So that came in a story that was put up on the website after the novels, and I haven't reviewed that story in a while, so I'd have to read it again to get the details.
So what are some of the since we're clearly not going to get a second plane in tonight, what are some of the basic dangers
other than the gods themselves?
Other than the gods themselves and their various and many flavors of shenanigan.
Yeah. Because one of the things we talked about with Innistrad was this might kill you and this might kill you and you might get turned into one of these. If not, this will probably eat you. So I don't know that you have the same level of like every day, oh god, I'm gonna die, as you did on Innistrad.
No, definitely not. But again, because it's an Iron Age society, you always have disease, you always have war and other conflicts. I'm sure there's going to be fires in the city every once in a while. Outside the city, there's wild animals and monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so let's focus on those for a second.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that you don't want to go wandering out in the wilds too far, because as we were saying earlier, there's the minotaurs, which the minotaurs on Theros are not a like a sentient warlike race. They're actually just sort of savage brutes.
You literally reached my brain and took out the words I was going to use. Savage brutes. There's one chapter in the book where we get where it's being told through the perspective of a Minotaur war leader, and it's literally they're like beating a citizen to death, and he notices that he hesitates for 1 second, and the Minotaurs around him are like, "Why is he hesitating? Do we need to kill him too?" And he's like, "Bring me his weapon. I want to kill me with his own weapon." And so he feels impatient. When Xenagos comes to talk to him, he's like, "I want to just kill the bleeding thing. It's a goat. I want to kill the goat. Can I kill the goat? I'm going to kill the goat." Arrgh. But also the Minotaurs around him, he's aware that if he shows any hesitation whatsoever, he's going to get ripped apart himself. So you running into the Minotaurs on Theros, you're going to die probably.
Yeah.
So then, of course, a thing that Theros is famous for are its Hydras.
Yep.
Got lots of ancient Hydra things just wandering around, having bunches of heads. Apparently, harpies are a thing.
Yep. Well, they tend to, as I understand, they can attack the roads, and they can steal things from caravans and eat people. But also on the coast, you have sirens. So
yeah, that's important to know.
Right.
There's, of course, you've got dragons, because you've always got dragons. The demons are apparently souls of the dead corrupted by hatred on Theros, as opposed to being actual separate things that exist. These are actual souls of the dead that hate so hard they turn into demons. That's rough.
Yeah. They're not as populous as they are on some other planes, because that's like a returned on steroids. And then,
Yeah, especially since it's so rare for a soul to escape the underworld.
Right. But yeah.
Odin's son said Gorgons. Yeah, Gorgons are there.
Yeah.
I don't think they're quite as scary.
They're not plentiful, but they're there.
I guess we could lump a lot of these into monsters, because I was also going to mention the Kitab Lupus.
The what?
The Kitab Lupus.
Thank you.
Is it Kitab? I've heard some people say Kitab Lupus, and I'm like, you're making that up.
I thought it was a Kitab Lupus.
Is that like something being cattywampus? Like, what in the hell are we talking about?
But so we've got the naturally occurring monsters, and then we've also got the Nyxborn, because the gods, especially as I said before, Perforos, love to create new things. Why not? And part of it is that the Nyxborn creatures can serve as their messengers and their envoys. But some of them, depending on the god they serve, could also be incredibly dangerous as well.
So apparently there was one, and it was loathsome. The loathsome Kitab Lupus.
Yeah, I was just about to put it in the chat for you.
What? What in the blue hell is this? And why is there only one to have such a weird name?
It's an odd monster. There aren't many stories about it. It's one of those. Let's see, Wikipedia. The Kitab Lupus is a legendary creature from Ethiopia, first described by Pliny the Elder and later by Claudius Aelianus. So it's one of those random things that Pliny wrote about that some dude told him, and it's like, hey, that's neat, and I'll write it down. But probably didn't actually exist.
The body of a Cape buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
And its head is always pointed down. So it's a water buffalo that people thought were monsters?
Yeah. Because he also gave it, freaky monster powers in the description.
Well, naturally, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you did back then.
It's also a weird Dungeons and Dragons monster.
Because of course it is.
Yeah, what's also fun is if you read the old ones from ancient Greece about unicorns, because unicorns actually were weirder than they are now, like the way
Weirder?
they're represented now.
How
So
so?
they didn't just be
Let me
pretty
see
and
if I
fart rainbows.
Did they like stab people with their horns? How weird are we getting?
I
here?
hope so.
I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick, because like the ancient antiquity mentioned the aurochs and an Indian ox, perhaps a rhino, as one horned beast, as well as a very fierce animal named the monocera, which is head of a stag, feet of an elephant, tail of a boar, while the rest of the body is like that of a horse.
Okay, the Minotaurs. So, yeah, I've heard of that.
So that's the way Pliny the Elder described unicorns.
Sounds like, with lots of these mythical beings, it sounds like just someone who doesn't know better describing a rhino, because that's
Yeah,
what he was doing. Yeah.
Oh my god, look at this thing. It's
Draconic 367 reminds us in chat that the gods were Simic.
With oh,
the god, yeah,
the
shark
way they
tooth
shove
crab.
things together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe that's who the original inhabitants of Theros were, as they were Simic rejects who were like, okay, and then their minds just went wild.
Well, Crufix was the first god, after all.
That's true.
There you go.
Ooh.
And there are merfolk on this plane, so
All right. So what? Go back to the Nyxborn. What? Was
So
there
the
more?
the Nyxborn are again enchantment creatures that are created by the gods. They're enchantments in magic to basically show mechanically where they come from. I'm gonna do a quick gather search.
Gatherer. Oh, sorry.
Gatherer. You know, like the Naiads. That's a good example.
Naiads and dryads.
Mm-hmm.
Pinball wishes. Don't forget, there's a giant fox running around the forest of Theros too. Oh yeah.
A giant fox? I don't remember that one.
I don't remember what it was called. Hang on. Fox format. Oh yeah, format doesn't work anymore. Ah, there we go. Vulpine something. Vulpine. Goliath.
Oh, yeah. Giant
Which
fox.
is, in fact, a giant fox. Flavor text reads, with a diet of hydras, giants, and massive serpents, anything would get that big. Oh,
How
who's
do
a
I
pretty
look and
puppy?
gather for a block? Because it's not under
You can't
format.
anymore. You have to put in the different sets.
You can't do it that way anymore?
Nope. Format only shows Modern, Legacy, Vintage, Commander, Brawl, or something.
Lame. So block doesn't work?
Nope. Oh wait, is there a block option?
Yeah, down near the bottom.
Oh, hey, there you go, Brian. It's down near the bottom. Oh yeah, there it is.
It is?
Yeah,
Yeah, in advanced search.
there's a block field.
There's a block
Oh.
field.
I see. They just moved it.
I'm pretty sure it's always been there.
Well, they've removed it from format.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes they do actually change things in Gatherer. None of the things that make any sense to change, but
Hey, there's the Crow Manticore.
yay!
Wouldn't you love to run out into that as you're just wandering around? Probably. But yeah, it's a lot of the same creatures that we've already talked about because the gods tend to make their creatures in imitation of things they've already seen. You've got, Nyxborn satyrs and Nyxborn chimeras and wolves. So they're like, hey, that looks neat. I'm going to make one of those. So in addition to like the archetypes. And then, of course, there was Polychronos. Polychronos? Poly something?
Polychronos.
How do you spell that?
POLU is why you're getting hung up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. A Hydra that was so big and so fierce that it was actually drawn into Nyx to basically spare the creatures of the material world from its insatiable hunger. And then Heliod and Perforos got into a fight and kind of accidentally knocked it back to Earth. Oops, our bad. So, or I'm sorry, no, he was imprisoned in a cave. He was knocked back to Earth. Then he was imprisoned in a cave. But then the seal on the cave got bad because of Xenagos and eating things up again. It's bad. You don't want to run into it. It's going to eat you. So the plane certainly has its share of dangers, from the gods themselves to monsters, to even, as someone said, like getting caught up in a war. Although the wars don't seem to be so much between the civilizations themselves, like the human civilizations, as they are with the minotaurs primarily. The books themselves don't go into a whole lot of other conflicts. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of overt aggression toward, for example, the Leonin. They kind of just leave each other alone. And we don't hear about any like organized efforts to have a war between Akros and Meletis, for example. So
I see. Yeah, lots of these enchantment creatures are just normal things that have some nicks in them, it looks like.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because they use a regular creature as a blueprint, so to speak. I could make that, but better, because I'll be the one.
I can make that, but with stars in it. Sick.
I always did like the Nyx Fleece Ram. Pretty.
It is very pretty. All right. So, what other sort of dangers are there? We've got monsters, we've got gods, we've got the normal pre-industrial age things. Is there anything else really that is specific to Theros? Or are we good?
I think we're probably good. As in any society, one of the dangers, whether it's to your life or not, is these people are pretty well indoctrinated. And anything that challenges those beliefs, and again, especially because the things they believe in are literally there, as we've said a couple times, you don't just say, "Oh, Heliod doesn't exist," because he's like, "Excuse me, I'm right here."
And then a big old spear comes and smites you.
But people on this plane are so set in what they believe that if you really did try to have someone show up and say, Heliod's a liar or Thassa is tricking you or whatever, probably would not go very well. So I would say, as a potential danger, running against the grain, trying to be individualistic to the point that you reject societal norms, is not going to fly here. And that's going to be a problem on a lot of other places, but I'd say more so than here, because it's not gonna fly at all. People are pretty well set in what they believe. So I think one of the only reasons Ajani is able to get away with it is, first of all, he's a Leonin, and people already say, "Well, you're godless heathens already," and he's an incredibly powerful mage and planeswalker. So things get bad, he just isn't there. But if you're just an ordinary citizen and you just went to the forum and made crazy claims, you might get literally stoned to death for your blasphemy.
Is that Nyxborn weed? Sorry. He said stone to death and it popped out before I could even stop myself. I'm so sorry.
Wow. You really went there. I got no follow-up.
You
to
gotta
that.
try this stuff, man. It's got some of the gods in it. Okay, sorry.
So, could you live on Theros?
I mean, me personally?
Sure.
So, okay. If you take me that exists now and drop me on Theros, no.
You're gonna die.
See? Because I'm
Because you would make
not
that
only
exact noise. Yeah.
That's the gods coming to smite me. Because not only am I horribly addicted to modern technology, but I'm also a staunch atheist. So, like, going to a place where there's no internet and the gods are like, hey, it's up, I would just fall apart.
But would you be an atheist there? Because you don't have to believe that the gods are good. You just have to, like...
Yeah, I guess I would switch
Look up.
from sorry, that's just a fairy tale to sorry, they're just a bunch of dicks. Like,
Yeah.
it would be an easy swap, probably. But I
You'd
still
be an
wouldn't-
You'd be an apathist.
Yeah, but I still wouldn't have internet. So, but now,
Oh,
had
that's true. That's true.
Had I been raised there, I might still end up an apathist because I was raised in the South. So,
But yeah. I mean, there's a
huh.
difference between believing in something and respecting it. So, but I could see you definitely being on the Nikatl side and just like, what's up with these jerks?
You keep saying the cuddle.
Yeah, I'm bad at this.
Like I said, all these cat people look the same. There's actually been some thought that it's possible that the Leonin on Mirrodin came from either, because, you know, nobody on Mirrodin is originally there, that they came from either Alara or Theros.
Yeah.
That's a good point because Memnarch populated it with existing creatures. He didn't just make stuff out of nothing. So I hadn't really thought about that, but they all had to come from somewhere. But let's be realistic. I'm just messing it up because I'm just bad.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a like, ooh, you know, perhaps. I mean, I think that's an interesting thought, but I'm just.
Yeah, I think Theros seems more likely because there are many more specifically lion-like leaning on Theros. I don't think there are any on Alara. They're more tigers and leopards and stuff like that.
Oh my.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Are you though?
Yeah, I am. But I mean, as far as the planes of Ravnica, the planes of magic that we've looked at thus far, Ravnica's still probably the closest analog to modern society. As weird as that is to say out loud, it's true. But I think this one is probably another one of the good ones that it's probably cool to live on.
You think so?
Chat about where the leaning would be from because I wasn't thinking. Yeah, Ajani is from Alara, so duh, there are lion people there. I'm just being stupid.
Oh, he is, isn't he?
Yeah,
Whoops.
I'm just dumb.
All those cat people look the same. You think they have Make Alara Great Again hats?
What?
Anyway.
Wow.
Make Junda shard again.
I think everyone is wearing a Make Rixus a Shard Again hat. Anyway. But yeah, I think that Theros is one of the nicer ones.
I agree. I feel like there's still danger and there's still monsters, but there's monsters on Theros, and then there's monsters on Innistrad.
Yeah, right, exactly. There's a difference between the monsters that are essentially just big creatures that are big and scary, and actual monsters that will break into your house and eat your face.
Yes.
Like there's wolves, and then there's werewolves. Like,
Yeah.
but like there haven't been any giant wars. Theros hasn't been torn asunder. You know, in our time there, that is. Obviously, there have been in the past, but it's not what's going on right now.
I mean, anywhere you go, there's going to be some kind of martial conflict.
Well, yeah, because you need that in a Magic set.
Right.
Well, you don't necessarily need it, but it helps.
It helps. having a setting where everybody's hunky dory all the time is not super thrilling.
Yeah, that's why Lorwyn was such a nice change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until everything went all foobar.
It did, too. Huh. So you think we're good on Theros, then?
I think we're probably good. I don't know what else I would say. Personally.
How about you, Zerk?
I think it'd be a cool plane to live on.
There you go.
Although I will say that, like all class-based pre-industrial civilizations, you might have a very different feeling about it if you weren't born into privilege.
Yeah.
Just a thought. But now I'm really done, I think.
How about you, Mike? Anything else to add on Therosian life? Was that Therosian?
I don't know. Therotic.
No, that's a kind of
baby.
fanfic.
I remember one of the Theros stories had a little bit of therotic fiction in there. That was interesting that they put that up. I'm like, ooh. Anyway, now I can't remember what.
Mike said Therotica got all hot and bothered.
Yeah.
I feel like I should say something about death touching himself.
John, God of Toilet, smile upon you.
But yeah, I mean, just because I've always been fascinated by classical Greece and Rome, I would like to say I would want to live in Theros. But yeah, like has been brought up many times before, the hardships of Iron Age life would start to, I'm sure, would get to me. Unless I was raised there and was used to it.
Yeah.
I don't want this to be like a recurring thing, but you might actually start praying for John, the god of indoor plumbing.
Yes. Yes.
And then he would suddenly exist, and we would all be able to flush, and it would be amazing. We'll just dump it all on the in the ocean. What do we need merfolk for?
No wonder they've been at war with us.
Yeah, see? Anyway, right. How about some final thoughts then, gentlemen? And also you, Brian.
Oh, well, thank you.
Well, my final thought would be that the Mad Lib was quite entertaining and a little different. I do enjoy our introspective of the different planes and everything, and for all the ups and downs, you know, there is a little bit of positive on each one of the planes that we visit in all this. And I just feel like with the nature side and everything, yeah, it would be a fun place to probably go on vacation to.
Oh yeah, I
Probably
would love
not
to go visit.
Mm-hmm.
Visit but not to live. Is that
Yeah. And with that final thought, I'm off to bed, guys.
like the beach? I mean, I know some people live at the beach, but there's all that sand. I don't like.
No, no, no. Bad, Brian. Bad.
Well, I mean, you track it everywhere.
Yeah. You track it everywhere like it was sand people who kidnapped your mother.
Mhm.
I mean, what?
All right. Well, good night, guys.
Good night, Dirk.
Good
All
night,
right, good
sir.
night.
So for my final thought, I feel like the elephant in the room. If I didn't mention it now, everybody knows it. Everybody knows I'm a big fan of the series. But after waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, this episode is going to go up on what, Monday?
Sunday.
Sunday. So, first time anybody's hearing this aside from the people that are joining us today on the stream
And the early release people.
and the early release people, it will be 2 days before the 29th when Kingdom Hearts 3 actually releases.
Ooh.
There were points when I did not know that we as a society would witness this event because it's been a long time. I'm pulling up the Wikipedia page right now, and the last entry other than the mobile game was Dream Drop Distance. It was released on March 29th, 2012. So we're talking about 7 years almost since the last entry in the series. And a lot of these, what some people call the spin-off titles, Dream Drop Distance, Birth by Sleep, are fine games. They are complete games. It's not like, oh, it's a half an hour's worth of content. You know, these are complete games, but for some people that are looking primarily at the numbered ones in the series, Kingdom Hearts 2 came out. Well, this just has the Japan release, but December 22nd, 2005.
Yeah, that makes
We
sense.
have we have listeners probably
Oh, no, we do.
that were not around, or certainly were not, playing video games at that point. So in their lifetime, this Kingdom Hearts 3, has always been pending, so to speak. So I'm trying not to build it up, but I mean, come on, that's a foregone conclusion at this point. I've got my copy pre-ordered, so it should be delivering that day, and it's a Tuesday, and I got work and Sam's got school, so we have to take that into consideration. But I don't want to avoid the internet. I don't want to avoid the internet forever. I'm sure within 24 hours of release, multiple people are gonna be live streaming it, and there's gonna be all sorts of stuff up on my YouTube feed about, like, secret boss revealed, and turns out Sora is in love with Riku, like everybody thought, and
How therotic.
yeah. Oh, dang it. So anyway, long story, way too long short. Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out, and there's a decent chance by the time you're listening to this, it may be about to be released or already released. By the time we record again, it will be out, and I will have played it for at least a little while. And that makes me a happy pan. That's all I got.
So let's see. Dream Drop Distance was in 2012. 1.5 Remix and Kingdom Hearts Key. The letter.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like an X, but it's not an X. We're in 2013. 2.5 Remix was in 2014. Unchained Key was in 2015.
And that's the mobile game that I'm still playing.
The 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue was 2017.
That's true, and that did have some new content where you could play as Aqua in the
Yeah.
World of Darkness. But that
It was pretty
was
short
about
though,
it was about 10 hours worth of content.
which
So-
is a full game. Not a full Kingdom Hearts game necessarily, but a full
Yes.
game.
It is a full game, yeah.
And now we've got Kingdom Hearts 3 in 2019. So, and for anyone who wants to figure out the entire story and how everything is put together in Kingdom Hearts, don't.
The
It's
first one
it's so stupid.
the first one has the most coherent story because, quite frankly, I think they thought it was going to go over well, and there's a secret trailer for the second game at the end of the first one, but it has a fairly concise beginning, middle, and end. As they have added on more games, they have felt the need to expand the mythology, and in sometimes, I'll admit it as a fan, absurd and very nearly contradictory directions, which, as someone that I still love to write, I still love to read a lot, story contradictions, especially within a series, make me go, I can ignore it to a certain point, but when you're like, oh, this person was alive the whole time, then I'm like, no.
Yeah,
But-
dude, I've been watching Cheers.
Uh-huh.
This is gonna come around and make sense. I've been watching Cheers.
I believe you.
And Frasier says at separate parts during Cheers that both of his parents are dead. But then in Frasier, he lives with his dad.
He was, huh? Because they wanted to do a spinoff, and wouldn't it be great if he
Exactly.
had a
Yeah.
down-to-earth dad?
If their dad had absolutely none of their qualities that is
Yeah.
like Frasier himself. Yeah.
Yes.
And when I heard that, I was like, okay, that's weird, but whatever. And then possibly like later that season, or possibly in a different season, he said it again, and I'm like, wow, they actually established this. Huh. Anyway.
Yeah.
And even though like Frasier happened years later, it still bothers me.
So, as a fan of Kingdom Hearts, and having played pretty sure all the games at this point, and the collections for the PlayStation 4 make that much easier, because my other gripe was, I want these games, why are these games all out on different systems? Having a PlayStation 4 is nice. The plot can be summarized, and especially later on when they retcon a couple things, not everything, a couple things, it is understandable, but I could probably take a blackboard and offer a 2-hour class to like summarize it in a way that is not completely bogus, but it does strain credulity at certain points. Nevertheless, the gameplay in all the games has always been incredibly tight, incredibly well balanced, and a lot of it's just fun to play. When it comes down to it, the worlds are pretty, and the story, when you're into it, makes you go, "Aw!" But the combat has always been really good, and honestly, has only actually gotten better over several games. So, I think the combat between, for example, Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2, and Kingdom Hearts 2 with a lot of the reaction commands and the way that they've designed the enemies, it's just much more interactive instead of just keep hitting the X button. So if you can get through the story, great. And again, me being someone that loves to talk, I could sit here and do an episode of here's what the story is in Kingdom Hearts. Mike went with me to Atlanta.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. You ran through it when we were in the car going down to Atlanta.
Yeah,
and it did take a good couple hours, at least that
Yeah,
much. Probably more.
Well, I mean, it was what, a 4-hour drive,
Yeah. Mhm.
and we were talking about it for less than half the time. But I figured, hey, we've got a couple hours, and you didn't tell me no, so I was like,
stupid.
This,
I mean,
this is what I think the story means so far, and he indulged me. So that's all I got. Kingdom Hearts 3. Yeah.
Yay. So now we've had Smash Bros. Cast and Kingdom Hearts cast. Mike, what you got?
I wasn't prepared with another show when I showed up.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But I don't have anything special to add today.
Okay. No final thoughts in particular?
No.
All right, had any good food lately?
Yes. I went to a really good Indian place off of Wendover. It's in that big shopping center area off of Wendover near where I live. It's called Taza. Is that right? Taaza. It was really good. I'd been there with some coworkers for the lunch buffet one time a while back, and that was really good. And then a couple days ago, I went there for dinner, and it was also very good. So now I know that that is a good place to go.
Excellent.
Nice. You'll have to take me there sometime.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Will it be thoroughtic?
Got me a date. I mean,
We can only hope.
no pressure. All right,
Chewy?
then. So that just leaves me, and this episode's gone on long enough. So hey, if you want to check out other content that I do, of course, there's episodes of the Mana Pool, which you're listening to now. Hi. There's Monday Night Magic, which at the moment is still only available live on Twitch. Also, the VOD's still on Twitch and on YouTube because there's nowhere to put the files. So until MTGcast gets worked out, I don't want to have some files over here and some files over there and some files out there. So, and since the vast majority of our audience got lost when the RSS feed disappeared, which the RSS feeds are back, we just can't add to them. I figure it's a good time to try not having audio for a while since the established audio audience won't listen to it anyway. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But yeah, Monday Night Magic, where Clues and Squee and I talk about all of the news in Magic every week. Next week, we've got 2 weeks worth of news because we didn't record this week because the only thing that really happened was the Cart Clan Ironworks got banned, and meh. Contrary to what some modern players will tell you, that is not a full episode's worth of news. So, but that's the podcasts. Also, over on youtube.com/themanapool, at this moment, I've got episodes of Hearthstone games. I had a Hearthstone stream with so many just bizarre games all at once. Just so many weird games over the course of this one stream, and those are going up on YouTube, as is more of the Mortal Kombat story mode, which is well over halfway done now and is winding up to the end. It's not really winding down. It's the opposite of that, actually.
Gentlemen,
Also,
I hate to break this. I'm going to go ahead and go. I'm being summoned. So everybody have a good night.
Maybe. He's being summoned. I wonder if it's John, god of toilets. Oh, wait, no. That would mean he has to go poop. I was just trying to work John, god of toilets in again. I wasn't implying that Brian had to poop.
Oh, I thought that was the whole joke.
No. It's even funnier now. Anyway, so that's what's going up right now is Mortal Kombat and Hearthstone. But coming in the very near future is my playthrough of The Legend of Zelda and some World of Light and one classic mode run, actually, of Smash Brothers Ultimate. Which I don't think I've said on this show. I have a Nintendo Switch now. Thanks to the insane generosity of a listener who wishes to remain uncredited. But you know who you are, and thank you so very much. It took several people talking me into it to accept the gift, but hey, I have a Switch now, so sick. So I've been playing Smash Brothers like a lot, like oh my god, a lot. I finally have all the characters unlocked. Finally.
Mm-hmm.
Mega Man was a bitch to unlock. I think I had to face him 4 times before I finally won. Because, in order to unlock characters, you have to beat them. So, Mega Man beat me. And then I was like, damn it. And the next time he showed up, he beat me again. And I was like, come on, man. And then the next time he showed up, I'm pretty sure he beat me again. But yeah, so the World of Light is the big single player mode that is like a series of challenges in this giant world. It's like an RPG, but combat is Smash Brothers fights. So it's like the best RPG ever. So yeah, that will be going up. That'll be starting soon, probably alongside Legend of Zelda. So yeah, that's stuff to look forward to. I've also got some Hand of Fate videos that need to go up to see if people will watch them. Because I really love that game, and it's perfectly episodic for YouTube. But I don't know if people would want to watch it, so I'm just gonna put those up on YouTube and see if people bother to watch them. And if so, I'll keep putting them up on YouTube because it's so much fun. It's a great game, and the sequel's out, but I haven't beat the first one yet. And the first one's still, the sequel's still too expensive for me to buy, but you know, whatever. We'll get there. But anyway, that's all stuff that's going up on YouTube, and you can see all this live here on Twitch. That's youtube.com/themanapool and twitch.tv/themanapool. Also over here on Twitch, I've streamed XCOM. I'll probably end up streaming some Overwatch at some point, because there's a new event that started today. And I'll probably stream... Sorry, my last several streams have been Smash Brothers. Well, okay, last two have been Smash Brothers, but... Yeah, I'm having a hard time... Let's see, Smash Brothers... Legend of Zelda... Hand of Fate. Oh, those are the last several things. And XCOM. Those are the last several streams. Okay, cool. So there you go. That's what you can come see here on Twitch and on YouTube at the moment. Now, if you want to help support what I do with this insane amount of I've got so much content backlogged. I'm going to have to go back to 2 videos a day for a while to get caught up so I don't get further and further behind. Because as of right now, I think I've got a full month's worth of videos to go up if they go up one a day. And that's insane. So I'm trying to get ahead so I can start tossing up 2 videos a day, like 1 Mortal Kombat and 1 Legend of Zelda, or like 1 Hearthstone and 1 Smash Brothers, something like that, just so I'm not, like, my hard drive isn't eaten up with this giant amount of raw footage that I haven't edited yet. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's all stuff that's going on. But if you want to help support what I do with this absolutely insane amount of content creation that's about to double, and oddly enough, I'm excited about that. Isn't that great? Like, I'm about to double my workload, and I'm excited about that, Mike.
That means it's something you actually want to do.
Yeah, it's great. But the most direct way to support what I do is at patreon.com/themanapool by becoming a lifeguard. The lifeguards, let's see, the uncommon lifeguards get the silver uncommon name in the Manapool Discord server, and they get early access to YouTube videos and to Manapool episodes. What comes after uncommon? Rare lifeguards get the golden rare name in the Discord server, the early access stuff, and access to the odds and ends, all the stuff recorded before and after both Monday Night Magic and the Manapool that are uncensored and unfiltered. I also need to set aside a day to get caught up on those. Damn it. Story of my life, Mike. What comes after rare? The mythic lifeguards get the mythic orange. Dude, shut up. I've been playing, like, Hearthstone and Overwatch, so my brain starts to go, like, rare, epic, legendary. I'm like, no, that's the wrong colors. Now I forgot what I was saying. Right, the mythic lifeguards get the mythic rare name in the Discord server, the early stuff, the odds and ends, and the sponsorship shout-out on both podcasts, and their name on the end screen for all of the YouTube videos that go up each month. So I would like to thank our mythic lifeguards, Kim Ho, Andrew Hunt, Al, Paul David, Lance Delicious, Team Uhellas Haryu, Connor Kennedy, John Morris, Alex Gonzalez, Jeff Spencer, Stuart Slaw, PJ McMullen, Sophia Bertain, Casey, Fayen Says, Danny Liao, Jason Doan, Cody Buckowing, Jake Jansens, Jason Kaus, Gothic Man, Brian DeLucci, Stark Maximum, Keith Moody, John Parker, Aleph Cat, Dan Holm, Bartle, Mike Millerburn, and the Beastfather, Aaron Goodwine. Hey, that was Stark's name. I'll be damned. So, yes, thank you all so very much for your lifeguardness. I didn't think that sentence through. For your support. I quite literally could not do it without you. And with that, I guess we'll be done with this episode. So, yeah, we're good. So, this has been the Mana Pool number 540. Thank you all so very much for listening. And go live on Theros. And don't death touch yourself.